Welcome back to Optimized Health, where we're making easy, healthy, and delicious meals. Today we're going to discuss a really important topic because it apparently is affecting more and more of our American population. Right now, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and metabolic dysfunction associated fatty liver diseases are involving more than 40% of our population, projected to actually affect about 50% of our population in about 5 years, 2030, if things don't change. So it's important for us to be aware of this because it's a very insidious progression and an insidious type of condition where you won't know that you have a fatty liver, and your liver will work as hard as it can to overcome and to still provide for your body until it absolutely cannot, and you end up in the hospital and find out that you need a transplant. And if half of us have fatty liver, do you think the other half of us are going to be able to provide transplants for those 50%? It's going to be a really sad picture. A lot of these people that are affected are actually children. More than 20% of our youth now has metabolic dysfunction, obesity, and diabetes. So, or any of these above, and that's also just growing and increasing. So we do know that this is because of the food, and also because not just the actual components or the macros of the food, there are also sort of deficiencies in certain nutrients, of course, but then it's also when we're eating and how often we're eating, and we're not fasting appropriately, and even children shouldn't be eating from the moment they wake up until into the night, when right before bed, or when they wake up in the middle of the night, be given something to eat. So these things, they do matter, and your liver is critical for the function of so many things in your body, not just your metabolism and your gut health, but it helps with your blood clotting, and your blood can just decide that it's not going to clot if you don't have the proper factors that your liver makes, and you will bleed internally from no provocation. Okay, so those are just a few things that the liver is responsible for. The liver is critical, and you can't get a new one. So let's take care of the one we have, and let's talk about also some interesting at-risk populations. There's a gene that they have found an association with the NAFLD, and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, and the metabolic dysfunction associated fatty liver diseases, MAFLD, so NAFLD and MAFLD. These are associated with a... You should talk to your doctor, healthcare provider, or veterinarian to see if any of these recipes, suggestions, or contents of these videos are right for you. Nothing contained in these videos are intended to be taken as medical advice. Use at your own risk. A specific gene, it's the PNPLA3 gene, which is seen more prominently in Hispanics and actually in Mexican descent. So Mexican Americans, Hispanics, whites, and Asians have a higher prevalence of NAFLD and MAFLD than African Americans, in that order. And they've also studied that a lot of the dietary factors specifically will sort of make this already like a predisposition to developing the fatty liver more apparent when certain populations, for example, eat a lot more sugary and starchy, carbohydrate-rich foods. Certain populations may not be getting enough zinc, which is also associated with an increased risk of fatty liver and inflammation associated with fatty liver. And then the other thing seen with more damaging results from this fatty liver accumulation is having polyunsaturated fat to your saturated fat ratio of food consumption being low. So instead of prioritizing healthier fats like avocado and olive fatty oils, you're eating more saturated fats, which typically tend to be our processed foods. And although they are found in some meats, there's some dispute on whether that's should be seen the same way as a processed trans fat sort of component of food. So those are kind of the basic background things to consider if you're still catching up on what's causing the fatty liver diseases. This is associated and correlated very closely with diabetes, type 2 typically, and obesity. And then also, very importantly, insulin resistance of any kind, and with metabolic syndromes and metabolic dysfunction. So don't forget that, unfortunately, sometimes some of the presenting signs of a metabolic dysfunction or insulin resistance can be polycystic ovarian syndrome. You don't have to be overweight to have fatty liver, and you don't have to be overweight to have PCOS and insulin resistance, which can increase your risk of developing these types of conditions. Although most people who have it probably are diabetic or obese, there are some people that just don't carry weight in their body that way. So they will carry weight in their liver, and it can be so, hidden and just devastating to find out so late down the line when they can't do anything about it, when they have cirrhosis and they need a transplant. So I want to give you some good news, which are some ways to help our liver to cleanse out toxins, which kind of make things harder for it to process the fats and the foods. And by cleaning our liver out, by helping promote bile production, we're going to be able to get rid of toxins as well as some of the fats, and as well as utilizing some of those fuels. So in addition to what we also talk about in other videos about fasting and circadian rhythm and following a healthier diet, you can do some easy things like making different juices. Now, we don't do sugary juices here. We do green juices, or things like beet juice, and coffee are some really great ones, because coffee is known to actually affect the cells that cause the cirrhosis in the liver. They're responding to all that damage that the liver is undergoing, so they are going to cause the cirrhosis thinking that they're helping, but they're not. So coffee interrupts those cells directly, so it can actually decrease the amount of damage from fatty liver, and it can maybe even reverse in some cases. Beet juice is excellent, very, very good for liver health, detoxing, and for fatty liver. Another one is green tea, and this is great if you just have up to even 2 cups a day. It can help fat burning, triglyceride burning, and help to balance out your lipid profile. And then also it's high in antioxidants, so it decreases inflammation, which a lot of times when we have too much fat in our liver, we start to get that inflammation there, and that's really what accelerates the damage and accelerates the road to cirrhosis. Another thing you might consider is doing dandelion greens and yarrow root. They're not easy to find, like just in the store to eat typically, but you can find them in tea, and different like health food stores may have them dried. So that can be helpful to try as well. And we'll come back with some other ideas about just helping boost up your ability to do intermittent fasting, and helping to really fix your metabolism so that you can avoid fatty liver disease. I hope you guys will send in your questions and comments, and also your requests for new topics for us to talk about. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.